Okay, call to order and roll call.
Tina Adcock Thomas.
Mark Evans. Okay, and we're going to pause and go to watch a performance. So we'll resume the board meeting once that's complete.
Okay.
So much for being on the board. This is a very small token of our appreciation, and thank you so much. So,
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna resume the board meeting. I just want to say before we do that the performance on the PhD was fantastic. This is why we do it, with those kids, right? So fantastic. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Dr. Roberts, can you take over with the district update, please?
sure. As we continue to honor our board, I would like to place in the agenda the recognition from the governor's office, and it goes without saying that your time and commitment to be on a school board is an incredibly valuable aspect of how we operate. And so I wanted you to have the official proclamation from the governor's office be in recognition. So to all whom these presents come, greetings. Whereas school board members play a pivotal role in ensuring general, suitable, and efficient public schools, whereas members work with educators, administrators, and community stakeholders to determine the mission and direction of their local school districts for students' formation and safety, and whereas the leadership and vision of school board members are essential to enact policy, adhere to law, oversee curriculum, maintain facilities, and employ staff. Now, therefore, I, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor of the State of Arkansas, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the State of Arkansas, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as School Board Recognition Month in Arkansas. So again, thank you so much. Open your Baptist as a true advocate for Arkansas Arts Academy. We have something that we hope you can wear at some point very proudly. So thank you for all you do. It's a big commitment, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue moving on. We have a couple of transitions staffing-wise, and we have not encumbered any new hires. So the resignations we've had, we've replaced that internally. We do have a new fourth grade teacher coming on because that was a vacancy we needed to have. But we are really grateful for our elementary staff to step in and help us manage classrooms sort of out of their job description for this year, so we would have consistency and strong instruction for students. So I really am grateful for Crystal Brashears and Josie Hale for stepping out of their ELA in their gifted roles and placing those at part-time and stepping into a classroom setting. They're sharing that responsibility because that was the best decision for kids. We didn't need another transition to happen with some already 2 transitions in the school year. So they have been really gracious to maneuver their schedules and work with teachers to make that happen. So very grateful for that. We've got an influx and a deflux of kids coming and going. We've had some new students come in that are from out of state, and we've got some kids leaving that are going out of state as well. So the bonus of this is that the kids that are leaving, that left at beginning of second semester, they were either, majority of them were either going out of state or they were going to homeschool. So didn't see a huge flux to other particular charters or other school districts. We've got new kids coming in that have seen our advertisements out in the community and then through Reputation. So we're holding steady with that. Our lottery is in play right now, and we will be sending out the student intent to return probably the beginning, towards the end of this month, which is next week. And then we'll be pulling our lottery at the end of February. So then we'll have a little bit better of a handle on what we're looking at for next year, but we'll continue to recruit. We received our notification from our cycle 1, our budget, and we were successful with that. So that just indicates that our financials are on track and all the information we submit to the Department of Education is in accordance to their expectations and the state statutes. We have both of our principals coming to present on their teachers of the month as well as the students. So I will invite elementary, if you'll go first, please.
Good evening. So our teacher of the month has already been mentioned tonight, and she was picked before she took on an extra role. So Miss Crystal Bashir is our Charis teacher, our gifted teacher, and she has done some amazing things with that program this year. We have kids begging to get in, and that was not necessarily the case for everyone last year. Kids are so excited about what's happening in her classroom. Anytime you walk in at any grade, there's something exciting happening, and kids are not wanting to go back to class or wanting to stay in there to finish doing their projects that they're working on. And she just brings such energy to it. And then she's going to continue bringing energy to our 5th grade ELA class. She's teaching 2 of the 4 classes and acting as a homeroom teacher, in addition to continuing all of the Charis things. So our teacher of the month is Miss Crystal Bashir.
Go ahead and get Nikki. Yeah. Nikki, would you mind coming on up? So high school president is Miss Nikki Cole. So Nikki does a ton of things to help me with math department lead and all those kinds of things. So very appreciative of her. But I'm not the only one that notices because this was voted on by her peers. So Miss Nikki Cole, high school teacher of the month.
The best way to do this. So if you'll both come over here, the board is going to stand beside you and we're going to take a picture. We'll get the process down. So can you guys move over a little bit, kind of center here.
Us here.
Yes, center here. And there we go.
That one's good.
That good? Okay.
I'll take it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. I will say, incredible teachers. This process of how the staff elects their teachers of the month is really indicative of the work that the recognitions get. And Nikki, and I'm not sure if Ms. Price mentioned it or not, she's running all of our high impact tutoring. So the grant that we got from the Department of Education, Ms. Cole is managing that whole process and making sure that these kids that are really needing a little boost of encouragement and some skill gain are going to have that tutoring, and that's a big project. So thank you. Now you'll students up and up.
So for the high school, we have, we do a student of the month for each grade each month. And so that's kind of how we do it. And this is voted on by faculty and staff. So if you will just come up when I call your name. For the 7th grade, our student of the month is Lucy Bloom. 8th grade is Evelyn Danley, who I don't think could be here. I don't see her. So our 9th grade is Kaden Tate. Our 10th grade is Lydia Phelps. Our 11th grade is Arlie Dumont. And our 12th grade is Jacob Fisher, who I don't think could make it. Certificates tomorrow, so if you'll come around and take a picture. Hey, you guys are tremendous leaders for us. You work hard, you do everything that we ask you to do, and I really appreciate it. So I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
And they have have to squeeze just a little bit later. Okay.
I
All
know,
right,
I'm old.
on three. 1, 2, 3.
You got it.
So we do not invite our elementary students to the month because we have probably 60 to 70 of them. We choose 2 to 3 per homeroom of our 26 homerooms. And because we try to find time in the year where every kid is shining and showing part of our herd expectations. So instead of invite 75 kids to each meeting and call their names off, we have a big award ceremony for them in the building each month. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so as I understand it, we have comments from the public. We have someone signed up to speak. So a couple of things before you speak. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. There's some content we as a board are here, so we will cut you off if that's the case. We will listen. We may not respond or take any action, okay?
That's fine. I have to leave to get myself from therapy, so. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here as a parent who wants to. I'm here today as a parent who wants to be involved in my child's education, just like every other parent in this district. I was formally banned from attending my child's functions at the public school district. The only reason they gave me is because I have a past. There's no child-related offenses. There's no court order. There's no allegations that I've ever caused a problem or posed a threat at the school. I want to be clear. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for fair, lawful, and consistent treatment. I'm asking for my civil rights, which is to be allowed to be a part of my child's education. The district has publicly acknowledged low parent volunteer participation rates, yet instead of encouraging involvement, a parent who wants to show up for their child has been excluded based solely on a label from the past. What is especially troubling is that we all know background history alone does not determine who harms children. This school district itself has had staff who has passed background checks, and unfortunately stuff has happened. No prior criminal record does mean that you won't harm a child. That reality shows that blanket exclusions based on past histories are ineffective and misguided, and why decisions must be based on current behavior and not past behaviors or assumptions. A public school is a government institution. It cannot act on fear or vague standards. Constitutional due process requires clear policies, individualized decision-making, and a rational connection to safety, none of which was provided to me. So I respectfully ask, what individualized safety assessment was conducted? Why were less alternatives such as the Raptor system, which I've checked with every single school district in this state. I've spoken to the state school board. That is what all schools use, is the Raptor system. And what appeal process exists for parents like me? I know answers don't, if those answers don't exist, and this is not just about me, it's about a practice that needs correction. I want to work cooperatively with the district. I want transparency, fairness, and a chance to be present for my child.
Okay, that's your time.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, moving into the consent agenda. We are going to approve the minutes. Can I get a motion to do so for the last?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Moving into new business, I want to acknowledge our new board member, Cassie Haley, who joined our board. Thank you, Cassie. Welcome. Glad to have you. Okay. I will need a vote to add Cassie to the board. So can I get a motion?
I've moved to add Cassie to the board.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, welcome, Cassie.
Thank you.
Okay, elementary academic update is next on the agenda.
So I've started our, my report to you with, there we go. So we are deep in artful learning. We finished our second unit, so we do our units by quarters. And in our second unit, our kids were studying different concepts. So we studied pattern, connection, structure, cause and effect, interaction, interdependence, and then sixth grade also studied structure. At the end of the quarter, after students have studied this concept and connected it to all of their content, they create something called an original creation, which relates back to all of the learning they did in the content areas, but also that concept that they started with and that they've explored throughout the quarter. So you can see here a couple. I have some more pictures too. The picture in the upper right is a journey map. So as our students are learning things and as our teachers are working through the unit, they're keeping track of every single piece of that. They're keeping track of every experience the kids have, the different things that they create, the things that they're learning, and it's all connected back to the content. On the bottom, you'll see our third graders were working on their masterwork experience. Their masterwork artist is Jackson Pollock, and so they were creating a Jackson Pollock-esque painting themselves by dripping painting on a giant canvas. And then the next pictures are actually third grade again with their suminagashi, which is a Japanese marbling technique that the students did as their original creation. Our fourth graders worked on jelly printing and they wrote poems to accompany it. We have a couple of those on our board here. And then third grade, full close up. The suminagashi is so cool. It is such a fun and amazing art form. Our sixth graders are working on, they're actually doing this now, they're felting with wool felt and little needles. They're felting either a plant or an animal cell. And so they're using the felt to show all of the different pieces. And then they're doing accompanying science work with that. So the artful learning is going strong. We've started our new unit. So most of our classes right now are working on their concept exploration for the third quarter. And we have some field trips. Some of our grades are visiting different places to further explore their concept or further explore their masterwork. One thing that we are doing as a building for third through sixth grades is we're goal setting for Atlas. So Atlas is our state test that we will take at the end of the year, and we take interim tests. So we take one in the fall, one in the winter, and then we'll take our summative at the end. So I spoke to somebody who has looked at a lot of the state growth, and they are telling us that it's on average, kids are growing 2 to 3 points per subcategory. And that's important because a third of our score is based on if students meet their growth goal or not. So we want to know if kids are on track to meet their growth goal. And the growth goal is based on kind of on average, a kid who is like them, how do they score? So looking at state averages can give us at least somewhere to shoot for, because it being a new test, we really don't know. We don't have our own historical data to look at, so we need to, we're working on the state average. So what we did is our students in third through sixth grade, they all looked at their last year's summative just to give them an idea of how they did last year at the end of the school year. They looked at the first test that they took, their fall interim. And so they looked at their score, they looked to see what level it was. We're always shooting for a level 3 or 4. And then they looked at the subcategories as well. But the biggest piece is every kid is they've either done it or they are doing it this week, having a one-on-one conversation with their teachers about their goal. So for math, for example, there are 3 subcategories. So their score should be anywhere from a 6 to a 9 growth to show us that they're on track to meet their growth score. So they're having a conversation with their teacher. Hey, I think I can grow this many points, and here's why. So teachers are probably pushing some kids. They're probably having conversations with kids about what they're going to need to do to make sure that they are able to get there. So those goal setting conversations are really important because the kids feel a lot of ownership of their score instead of it just being like another test we take at school that doesn't really have any impact on them. We also, we showed them, and this I put up here just to show you too. So we look at a lot of graphs for Atlas and it shows us each of those levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4, but they're not all the same. So level 1 means we're below grade level, and that's a very wide category, I guess. So we have kids graph it so that they can really see where they are, because a kid being at a 1010 versus being at 1040 is a very different situation. So kids can see where they are in that spectrum. And then level 2 means we're early on grade level. So we have some of it, not all of it. Level 3 is right where they're shooting for, that 1060. They're shooting for level 3 because that means that we are confident that they are on grade level most of the time or all the time. And then level 4 is above grade level. So that 4 and 1 are larger, because if I'm a 5th grader, level 3 is right there in the middle. There's a very short amount that is 5th grade. There's a lot that's above 5th grade, and there's a lot that's below 5th grade. So that's why those level 1 and 4s are lower and top, and they're much larger. So our kids are graphing their different levels so they can really get a visual. Our kids are, there's a picture of one of our wonderful teachers conferencing with a student, and then our students at different levels working on their own data. We want them to feel pride in their data. We want them to be excited about setting a goal, and then they will have a conversation with their teacher about whether they met their goal or not, and then they will set a new one for the summative. We're taking our winter interim, we're doing it with K2 right now, and then 3-6 in the next few weeks. So they will get to see pretty much immediately. We get immediate scores back, so we know exactly what they got right when they're finished testing. So we want them also to learn to be reflective. Whenever I set a goal, I definitely spend some time thinking about, am I on track to meet that goal? When I meet it, well, what's next? What do I want to try to achieve next? And we want to set that up in their lives as well. And starting simply by looking at the data. So this is just our testing schedule. So that 2 to 3 points is not going to be 100% certainty, but it's going to give us a really great idea. We also will be conferencing with families of 3rd graders at level 1 because they are at risk of not being promoted to the 4th grade if they're level 1. We talked about that earlier in the year. But we did receive some interesting information from the state very, very recently. Like, we don't really know exactly what all of it means, but what they have told us is that if a kid gets a 1 on the ELA test, and that means that they need to be held back for 3rd grade, they are kind of giving a second chance. If we as a district provide intensive intervention for reading to those 3rd graders who scored a level 1, then they are going to have an opportunity to take the test again. They're going to be able to take it between May 18th and June 30th. So that goes in all the way through the summer. So we can do some summer school support, extra support, and then retake, and that will replace their original score. So if they then go to a 2, then we do not have to hold them back. Now, we do not want to get to that point. I would love to not have any kids at a 1, but in all reality, we'll probably have some kids at a level 1, and we'll be able to continue supporting them, kind of have a little bit of an extended school year for those kids so that we can get them over the hump. So that's the goal. But that information has just come out. So that is literally every single bit that I know about it. Do you guys have any questions about it?
I've given you a handout that will go with mine in case you wanted to look at this a little bit later on, because I'll go through fairly quickly. We've already taken our interim Atlas exams. And so this data is very early. We're short several makeups, so that could come up or down just a little bit. But I wanted to go ahead and show you what we had so far. And so let me get. A few points that you're going to want to know about the Atlas is that we still have makeup exams happening. We have until the end of April before the summative. So we're just over halfway through the school year. And if a student has met growth, that means they've already met their growth for the year. And we still have more to go. If they've not met growth, that means they still have 2.5 months to improve to make that growth. So these are preliminary, but it's not a final at all. So a few points also that teachers are starting to examine the data already, and you're going to hear from Ms. Cole since we had her here anyway. I wanted her to be able to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing for math. So she'll talk to you specifically about that, but they're digging into the data, and tomorrow they have all afternoon to work on that as far as right after school. Whenever we look at proficiency, this is only for the winter interim. So I'm going to give you numbers that are proficient, but we still have 2.5 months. The growth score, they've already either made it, they're not quite there yet. And so these are projected. So as Rachel talked about, we have kind of a way to sort of guess about what their growth score should be. And so that's what we've used to determine what I'm saying has met growth or has not. And so that's projected. It is not a set thing. The algorithm they use for what a student's growth should be is really complicated, and it's kind of hard to nail it down perfect. You have to do a line of best fit and guess at the end. Mine kind of went off just a little bit, but what you're seeing here is you're seeing on the left, so you're seeing math right here, ELA or literacy here, and then science here. And so at the top, we've got 7th grade, then it goes 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. So with that, the thing that I focused on was big picture growth on this chart. Have they already met growth? So as you can see, at this time, just halfway through the year, we are on track. We're upwards of 2/3 of most of our kids meeting growth in math. And then if you look at ELA, we do have a soft spot with 8th grade, and then not quite as high in the 10th grade, or the 9th grade for growth, but still really high numbers. If you look at the 9th grade, where they were at coming in, they were already pretty high. So their growth is a little bit lower. And then in science, about 2/3 meeting their growth in the 7th grade, and about 39% in biology, 42% in the 8th grade. So that's a little lower than we want it to be, but you're going to see why in just a second on that. When you look at proficiency, this means if they were to take the test tomorrow, and they scored exactly what they scored last week, they would be proficient or they would not be proficient. At the very end, this would be the summative. So what you've got is in the 7th grade for math, 24% would already be proficient. Now, having said that, their growth was one of the highest amounts of growth that we've had, and we still have 2.5 months. Nikki's going to talk a little bit more about that. Pretty low in the 8th grade. As far as proficiency, a lot of growth that we've got to make there. Same for the 9th, a little bit higher in the 10th. When we look at, she's going to talk about everything we're throwing at those numbers. Literacy, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm completely blown away. If you look at Ellen McEwen is our 9th and 10th grade literacy teacher. She already has 60% of the 9th graders, which they came in pretty high anyway, at proficient. And the kids that she's had 2 years in a row are already at 75% proficient. And we still have 2.5 months left. So I want to just I called her today whenever I finalized this, and I was like, you're knocking it out of the park. I'm super proud of her work. And then we still have a long way to go in the 7th and the 8th grade. If we look at science, the high point is biology. And then we're still it's not bad in 7th and 8th grade for where we are in the school year. We took it when we got back from halfway. So at the halfway mark, still looking pretty good. Could get a little bit better. Right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to have Nikki go through and just give you a little more information about math, just because that's where we seem to struggle. And so I'm going to hand that over to her.
Let me pause real quick, just for a point of reference. When she talks about not bad for this point in the school year, that assessment evaluates what's done the whole entire year. So kids are taking an assessment on material they haven't had yet. So if they are at 50% already at this point in the year without having that content, we're feeling assured that once they get it, that score is going to continue to rise. So
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to bounce off that too because we started off, right, I brought my watch it not work. Okay, it's not gonna work on this. Okay. That's a good point. Okay, yeah, so we started off at 49% ones, which, so those students aren't really doing grade level content. And now we're at 39% ones, which is still not where we want to be, but what I want to point out about this Math 7 data is most of this is, when I was pouring through it, was that they are scoring lower in geometry, which both in Math 7 and Math 8, like Dr. Roberts was saying, I haven't gotten to yet. So geometry starts second semester. That's where we're at now. So another thing I wanted to point out is that the average score for the state didn't go up in Math 7, and we rose 3 points. So just saying. Just saying, just throwing out there. But really this Math 8 data too, stayed the same. We rose 7 points in Math 7, but also look at where we started. We came, when our students came to us in Math 8, 2 out of 3 of our students were not answering grade level questions. They were ones. We're still not where we want to be, but we're already outperforming the state. And we started off having more ones in the state. So they're killing it. And again, with them, geometry, same thing, same exact thing, I haven't gotten there. So geometry started this week in Math 7 and next week in Math 8. And so I really think, I'm confident that that's the area that they're struggling the most in, and that'll go up. And then Algebra 1, same kind of story, we haven't gotten to the things that we've identified that they're having problems with, we just haven't gotten to yet. So really where I want to sit is just to talk to you about what we're doing for intervention. We kind of have 2 strategies going on in 7th grade. So this is for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. We have the HIT grant. 153 7th, 8th, and Algebra 1 students are going to get 2 45-minute sessions per week. And the idea for the grant is that's going to focus more on skill gaps, things that they should know when they come to us that they just don't have. So that's what our HIT grant is mostly focusing on, and our tutors are focusing on. They're focusing on those skills that they should have when they come to 7th grade that they didn't get. And then the 7th grade advisory is, we've kind of remodeled advisory to be to help them with math and with ELA, but that's going to focus more on in-class concepts, so grade level stuff. So that's what we're doing there for that. So 2 strategies for 7th grade, and then any students that are 1 or 2 are receiving HIT grant too. Any questions on that?
Thank you, Nikki. So I think my assessment so far from what I've seen without having all the makeups in is that we have a long way to go, but we are moving. And so we're very hopeful and pretty confident that most of and I'll know more on science and ELA tomorrow whenever we dig in, but pretty confident that the things that they are missing right now, for the most part, are things we have not taught yet. So that makes a lot of sense for where we're at. So got that. And then I just wanted to give you a quick, we're coming up in February. We have the Scroll-a-thon. Are you going to talk about that? Aaron's going to talk about that. So I'm going to leave that for him. And then on February 5th, we've got the Lottery and Rising 7th grade open house. So we'll have stations all over the building with performances going for our incoming 7th graders, and then anybody that signed up for the lottery that wants to see what we're about. And they can go from different stations. They'll be able to see jazz band and go up and meet, visual arts teachers and see what's going on there. They'll see a dance performance. All those things are going on during the open house. And then we follow that up the following week with our electives fair for our current students. So that means they go through all the stations to see what all is available to them and look at pathways and make sure they have a good understanding of the pathways. We'll talk about concurrent credit, AP, all those things during that. And then we'll go straight into course selection on the 10th. And we'll follow that up with CAP meetings in March, which is where we bring in the parents to talk about their schedule for the next year, what it looks like, what they've chosen to take, and make any adjustments before we start building the master schedule. So that's what the next month looks like for us at the high school. Any questions?
Jerry, thank you. Rachel, thank you too. I appreciate that you guys are really leaning in you're focused on this next 2.5 months, right? And you got some data that helps you maybe identify where to throw your focus. So, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have some policy to discuss regarding over-the-counter medical distribution. A couple of documents that I hope the board has had a chance to look over that we need to adopt as our policy. Has everyone had a chance to look at those documents? Does anybody have any concerns or question about them?
So currently where we're at with this is our policy is that parents sign a online permission agreement that their child is able to receive over-the-counter medication. And we have that digitally signed and we store it. Through an evaluation of sort of our liability, we collected what is housed in the nurse's office and what is potentially distributed to students. The concern is that we have a vast amount that supersedes a permission digital signature. So what I'm asking the board, number one, is for us to change that policy to have it a handwritten signature, that it's a hard copy that we put in a file for our own liability. And we potentially run that through legal to make sure we're completely covered with that agreement. In addition, I would like to narrow this list down. I think it's too extensive. And I don't think there's any way to put this in a document for parents to understand the magnitude of all those different things. It's easier for parents to say, okay, I approve, for example, Tylenol or ibuprofen. I approve Neosporin. I approve a cough drop. I approve Tums, and I approve something else. But this is to the extreme. So I would like to also go to the nurses and have them list out their most frequently distributed medications and have those be it versus having an ensuite of options depending upon whatever situation happens. I think this is too extensive for us to be covered liability wise for a parent to sign off without a long period of time for them to analyze and take this list to their doctor and make sure there's no conflict with any other medication. I mean, I think it's a pretty involved situation. So I'm asking that we change the policy, and I can bring that forward at our next meeting, but to include the hand signature to reduce the amount of what we have available and to eliminate the other. In addition, the budget that covers all of these is out of the same funds that cover our nurse's salary. And so we want to make sure that we have the ability to cover the cost of all of this.
So I feel pretty strongly about what should be given, what shouldn't. I feel pretty strongly about the paper signature too. It's more intentional when you have to look at a paper signature, when you have to review that document and hand sign it. The parent has to put some thought into it, because the last thing we want to happen is to some kiddo to have an allergic reaction to something we dispensed, right? We have an obligation to them. So I'm in favor of a very limited list. I don't know what that is, 5 or 6 items. I think we need to defer to the nurses on what those commonly used items are. I agree we need an in-person paper signature to give permission. The parents know what they can and can't do. And a simple enrollment can be just a click, 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 right? So I'm in favor of it. I also would like to recommend that we set a individual budget for the nurse at each campus to work within for these dispensable medications, because although we have a nurse on staff, we are not a hospital, right? We are not in the business of dispensing medication unless we need to take care of the kiddos. So anybody see any of that differently? Agree or disagree?
I just, looking at the list that was up there, I mean, some of it, it's being, OTC aloe vera. I mean, some of those are kind of benign. Not, if a child brought it from home, it wouldn't be a problem to have here, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think obviously it needs to be culled. And, brought it down to a more manageable level anyway.
I appreciate you guys thinking through that with me because we want to reduce any potential liability. We want to make sure kids are safe. As a parent, I've never expected to receive those types of antibiotics or not antibiotics, over-the-counter medication. And so there is a parent responsibility with some of that. And they know their kids best and they know the medications they take outside of school. So we have to make some assumptions. The nurses do, and I don't want to downplay what they do. They do incredible diligence on communicating with parents over the phone. I'm going to do this. This is just what's happening. But that phone call is not going to stand up for us legally if we're in a situation where there were things that would happen, unfortunately. So I'll bring that draft policy change to the next meeting for you to vote on.
Okay, thank you. The next topic of business is pre-K tuition. We've looked at this document on a few different board meetings. There's been a lot of back and forth about it. This is the final version. In essence, we as the board agree that these are our tuition rates. And, the uncertainty with vouchers has forced us to have to be very clear about what our policy is and what it costs us to operate this program. I've reviewed it. I don't have any objections to this final version. Does anybody else have any comments or concerns? If not, I'll call the vote. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the pre-K tuition? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great. And then Dr. Roberts, our last order of business is the scroll-a-thon.
So we have an exciting opportunity that's coming up, and I'm going to invite Aaron Jones to come up and Kate Dallas to talk about this opportunity that you've been given. Arkansas Arts Academy was selected as the school to represent the entire state to host this event. So do we have any images?
The last slide. The last slide.
Last slide on the elementary presentation. Correct.
Hello, I'm Katie Ballas. I am the Director of Arts Integration at the elementary school and facilitate the artful learning experience at the pre-K through 6th grade at the elementary.
Aaron Jones, Director of Arts Integration and Museum Partnerships. And on behalf of us, thank you for serving on the board. Not only do we know that it's a thankless job and it does require a lot of things, I'm sure many of you are parents as well. As parents, we appreciate all that you do for our kids. So, yes, phenomenal opportunity that we were given through the two artists are Stephen and William Ladd. They are artists out of New York. They have been doing lots of different things, and so this is something that they decided to work with the Kennedy Center on. It's been long pursuing to celebrate the 250 years of our nation's anniversary. So we were then approached to be able to say, hey, let's represent Arkansas. So we were quite honored to kind of find this thing out. So Katie and I have been working together to then look at an opportunity for everybody affiliated with Arkansas Arts Academy to participate in this. What happens, and you want to tell them about kind of what's going to happen throughout the day?
Absolutely. So on Tuesday, February 3rd, Stephen and William are going to show up with all of their goods and wares. and pack into the day before on Monday. They will be packing into the black box and then the recording studios, and they'll have everything that we need to pull off a scroll-a-thon. They have been doing this through already for about a year and collecting. So like up on the screen, they've been to the High Museum Art in Georgia. They've been to the Yellowstone Art Museum in Montana. So the idea is to hit every one of the states and have an installation from them. And we are going to be on the website for the Kennedy Center and for the Scroll-a-thon as the only place in Arkansas that they are coming. And it's going to say Arkansas Arts Academy. So they'll load in on Monday, and then on Tuesday, we're going to have 3 different 1-hour sessions where we're going to pull through about 36 members to have this experience. And they're keeping the experience a little bit under lock and key. They're not telling us exactly what the prompts are and everything, but it's going to be a combination of creating a scroll out of some ribbons with a little bit of a storyline on it, scrolling those up, and then they will create a unique piece for us out of the ribbons and the things that our participants select. So the first time slot from 10 to 11 is going to be high school centric. We're going to have a lot of high school students participating. And high school teachers participating at that time. The noon 30 to 1:30 is going to be very elementary centric. So we're going to bring elementary school teachers and selected students over to participate in that. And then the 2:30 from 3:30 is going to be kind of our community partners spotlight. So Erin has reached out to a lot of our community partners in the museum world and in the communities, and we are cordially inviting each of you to come and join us on February 3rd, that's a Tuesday, from 2:30 to 3:30, which will be our last 1-hour session, that you can come and just participate as participants and go through the journey with us. And then at the end of the day, they will present us with that artwork. And
no, there's really nothing you can prepare for. You will need to be participating, and it is not the scroll, it's kind of the rolling scroll that you'll be doing. And then there is going to be an opportunity for you to talk about the scroll that you created. And that's going to be part of the storytelling. So we will be using the recording studio over here. So they'll be capturing everything. And then once all of this is done, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, every state and territory is going to be represented at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. So I know that's a big opportunity for people to take trips over the summer. You'd be able to see our state, our school, and you represented there in Washington, D.C. And then we will have an opportunity to then get those things back for installation for our own school.
Very cool.
Yeah.
we're excited.
Yeah,
We're
we
excited.
reached out, we did a media push out, and we've already gotten word from the Democrat is that they want to do a feature on it.
Awesome.
So they're going to come to one of the sessions. Jerry, I forwarded that contact.
I've already sent it to Erin.
Perfect. And so we're excited for the PR. We're excited for the opportunity to kids to see their art in a bigger space and our community members to step in and join us.
I assume we'll blast some social media with this too, right? Celebrate. What a unique opportunity this is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
And it will tell our story. I think the cool thing about this is when they're done, they're going to do a picture collage of everybody that came, that participated. Not everybody that does a scroll will do an interview. They'll kind of be listening to conversations and handpicking who they pull into the recording studio. And then if you go to the link for Scroll-a-thon, what's really kind of special is each one of these is individually named and personalized from a common theme that comes from the interviews, and that doesn't happen until the day of. So it's a live moment where you are creating, and it will become something that is uniquely us as Arkansas Arts Academy. So it's going to be amazing.
It's coming up quickly, so if you are wanting to participate, Katie's giving you all the information, and then we will send you a link if you want to participate, because you do have to submit a form of release, and they need that ahead of time. So we're trying to set by Friday for all of our teachers and everybody to kind of fill that out. So we will get that to you.
Is that happening here in this building?
It will be in this building. We have a black box in the back, and so it'll be set up there, and then our recording studios is down the hallway. So everything will take place.
And we'll have helpers in place to get you where you need to be. So, but arrive on time, because when they start, we'll all go in. It's that hour. Kind of like, you go.
Yes. Come on, Dusty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did anyone have any items they'd like to discuss since the publication of our agenda?
November minutes, we need to approve the November minutes.
Okay.
We were not able to do that last month.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the November meeting minutes?
I'll move to.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Before we adjourn, sorry, I'd like to give Cassie a moment. Thank you so much to talk about yourself and introduce yourself to our crowd here.
Oh, hi crowd. I was in conversation with Tina a few weeks ago when it came up. I actually used to be a teacher here when it was the Benton County School of the Arts High School, or Northwest Arkansas Academy of Fine Arts. So I taught theater here and have had many iterations since. I still love and miss my students, and became a teaching artist in the area throughout Northwest Arkansas from Fayetteville to Bentonville. And I miss it terribly. I've moved into several different types of roles since, but still very, very passionate about students. My children are grown now, so I do have the time to commit to something like this and try to see more opportunities for students in the arts as our state continues to grow, especially Northwest Arkansas. And so I'm honored to get to be a part of this with you all. And as teachers, thank you so much for everything you do. I'm sure it's never enough. Thanks and gratitude.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any need to go into executive session? Okay, the most fun vote of the evening. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, can I motion to adjourn? I think it's appropriate.
And the second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any adjourned?